Hey everyone, it's Craig Campbell, and I'm going to start a new video series here on the 1956 Topps set and some of the common players. When I was a kid growing up, I looked at all the cards. I knew all the players. I would read the backs of the cards and would listen to the different players on the radio or even on TV and read about them in the newspaper. And anymore in the hobby, we seem to just look at the grades and the slab and what number does it have and is it off centered? And I enjoy that too. All that's really important. But I sometimes think we lose just the enjoyment of the hobby and the cards themselves. You're looking at a guy named Jim Finigan from the 1956 set. I don't know anything about Jim Finigan. I've never heard of him before. His rookie card was in the 1955 set. So I wanted to look and see more about Jim Finigan. And I'm going to be taking a look at some of the common players from the 1956 set as I build it. Finnegan's got an interesting story. I did a little research on him, and I wanted to share that with you. And I think you'll be surprised, too, at Jim Finigan and some of the happenings of his career. And he certainly was not a big-name player, but you know what? He did play baseball, and he did get on the top set. And so that's notoriety in itself. I'm going to read you a little bit about Jim Finigan here. In 1954, as Philadelphia Athletics third baseman Jim Finigan was launching his major league career, the Sporting News contributor characterized him as a fellow who could not miss major league stardom. Ernie Mack, a son of future Hall of Fame skipper Connie Mack, echoed the sentiment 5 months later when he said Finigan played good, steady baseball. I don't see how he can miss becoming one of the game's standouts. Pretty interesting and a lot of accolades for a young Jim Finigan. But success did not follow Finigan or to any places beyond. After a strong first half in the 1955 season, he hit .286. Failing eyesight contributed to the sophomore's dismal finish of just 51 hits in his final 237 at-bats. And a year later, struggling through injuries and nagging ailments, he only hit .216. The press observed that Finigan only faintly resembles himself. He was relegated to a reserve role with the Detroit Tigers in 1957, and over his last 3 big league seasons, he bounced among 3 clubs where he averaged only 106 at-bats. Now, Finigan, he went in the military during the Korean War, and after his release, he had been closely monitored by the Yankees, and he was invited to the club's preliminary spring training conducted by Yankees manager Casey Stengel. The school's attendees included returning serviceman Whitey Ford and prize prospects Bill Skowron and Norman Syburn. Among this impressive trio, only Ford won a job, as the reigning world champions, the New York Yankees, had few roster spots available. Now, in 1954, Finigan made his big league debut in Philadelphia's Connie Mack Stadium during a doubleheader against the Yankees. Appearing in the first game as a ninth-inning defensive replacement, then Finigan got to start in the nightcap. In his first major league at-bat, he got an RBI double to center field against rookie right-hander Bob Grimm, but was thrown out at third trying to stretch it into a triple. Finigan collected a walk and a single and 3 more additional plate appearances that night as the Philadelphia A's won 4-2. And then 6 days later, he got a 10th-inning walk-off RBI single against the Baltimore Orioles in a 2-1 victory. His first major league home run was a solo shot against Tigers right-hander Steve Gromack. And 11 days later, Finigan capped off a 10-game hitting streak with a game-winning 2-run homer against the Washington Senators. Finigan was selected by Stengel as the Athletics' sole All-Star representative. He did not play in the Midsummer Classic because he had been injured the week before. Finigan did not have a very good glove as he committed 25 errors at third base, but he was the runner-up to Bob Grimm as the American League Rookie of the Year voting. And Finigan was named to the Sporting News All-Rookie Squad alongside future Hall of Famers Hank Aaron and Ernie Banks. And he also received slight consideration for American League Most Valuable Player, finishing 12th in the voting. I bet you didn't know that about Jim Finigan. Now, on the strength of a league-leading .493 slugging percentage, Finigan surpassed former American League MVP Al Rosen in fan voting to earn the start at third base in the 1955 All-Star Game. Though he went hitless in 3 at-bats, Finigan did reach base on a second inning error by Milwaukee Braves third baseman Eddie Matthews. Finigan's golden season began to crumble after the All-Star break as he plunged to a 15-95 hole that shaved 30 points off of his batting average. Besides a brief 6-game surge in September and a 7th-inning double on September 7th, it robbed Yankees lefty Whitey Ford of a no-hitter. So yeah, Jim Finigan was the only one to get a hit off of Whitey Ford that day and broke up a no-hitter. It's interesting because Finnegan's plunge was likely due to the onset of slight astigmatism. Though it was not diagnosed a year later, Finigan had great difficulty simply seeing the ball in 1955. And during that season, the Finigan was traded to the Tigers. He was traded for a guy named Garver, Ned Garver, and it was a 4-player swap. But Finigan, when he reported the Tigers in 1957, was overweight. Finigan was a lifelong smoker, and he tried to quit the habit, but he was not able to, and he continued to smoke. Now, Finigan finished that year at .270. He only had 174 at-bats. And the thing is, more than 70% of them were during the last 2 months of the season. Placed on waivers, Finigan was picked up by the San Francisco Giants. He stayed in the minor leagues with the Giants, and then he was purchased by the Mounties, which was the parent club of the Baltimore Orioles. He was acquired as a reserve infielder, and Finigan had a very good luck in spring training. He hit .400, but the incumbent third baseman, Brooks Robinson, was pretty rusty after his 6-month stint in the military. Robinson was eventually assigned to Vancouver, and on April 16th, in the 4th game of the season, Finigan moved into the starting lineup. He responded with 4 singles, 3 doubles, and 5 RBIs in 12 at-bats as he led the Orioles to 4 straight wins. It's pretty amazing that this guy, Jim Finigan, replaced Brooks Robinson, who went back to the minor leagues. But Robinson's return was inevitable. On July 5th, Finigan started at third base against the Red Sox. It would be his last major league appearance, and he went hitless with 1 strikeout and 3 at-bats before being lifted in the 6th. 3 days later, Robinson was called up. Finigan was assigned to Vancouver. He returned to the Orioles in the late season September call-ups, but he did not make an appearance. And a month later, Jim Finigan was released from the Orioles' 40-man roster. Finigan stayed in the minor leagues in 61 and 62, then he retired and went back home to Quincy, Illinois. In 1981, Finigan was poised to take over as the athletic director at Quincy College when on May 16th, 3 months shy of his 53rd birthday, he died of a sudden heart attack. 6 decades after his major league career had ended, author Phil Rayburn wrote that for a season or two, Jim Finigan was as good as the best hitter than anybody else. Additionally, Rayburn observed likely that due to Finnegan's marvelous rookie season, he got a lot of notoriety, but he was never the same after that. This guy, Jim Finigan, had earned consecutive All-Star honors, and again, believers observed that he was en route to a sterling future. Unfortunately, and somewhat inexplicitly, that expectation was never realized. Jim Finigan concluded a 6-year big league career with 422 hits, 19 homers, 168 RBIs, and 1,600 at-bats. But here we look at Jim Finigan and his 1956 card. You think about, he was supposed to be a can't-miss prospect. He broke up Whitey Ford's no-hitter. He replaced Brooks Robinson, and Brooks Robinson was sent to the minor leagues and then recalled, and Finigan never played again. And we all know that Brooks Robinson was the greatest defensive third baseman ever. But that's the story of Jim Finigan from the Kansas City A's in his 1956 Topps card. I hope you enjoyed the video. If you have any Finigan cards, maybe take another look at them. Until next time, I'm Craig Campbell. Have a great night.